guys, what's going on? It's Kevin from Guys on the Ground in collaboration with Counterculture Inc. Just want to say I appreciate everyone who showed up for our live show Tuesday. We had a fantastic time. I think that was one of our most popular live shows, and it was definitely the longest too. It was fantastic talking with Kevin Peach and Ink Tyler. All right, we're going to get started today with a video.
Take a seat and I'll let you know, okay?
What's going on?
So you see that sign right there, bro?
No, I'm sorry, man. My dog was just using the bathroom,
Okay,
man.
I'll get you. You have an ID on you?
Yeah, man. I do.
Can you grab that for me? Just stay seated.
All right.
Stay seated, you're going to be placing
I'm
handcuffs.
not even doing it, man.
I appreciate you.
It's a nice dog. It's a gremlin, though. Oh.
Let me get by. Yes, sir.
They should have waited to let a canine officer apprehend him. So here's one thing you cannot do as a suspect in crime. You cannot involve animals in any way, shape, or form. A jury will convict you 100% of the time. You cannot hurt an animal. As a criminal, the jury will get you. Next, we're going to look at a website I've been recently sharing called Indiqui, Ian, I don't know, whatever. So they're taking up arms against qualified immunity, which I'm a big proponent for qualified immunity. In this website I pulled up here, they have little pins all over a map of the United States of cases where they feel officers deserve to be personally sued and their qualified immunity should not be there to protect them. So far, I've disagreed with the first case. This is the second case that I'm going to look at, Stewart v. Stewart v. City of Euclid. And in all these cases, they give you the summary of the case, but then below that, you can click on this read case button. And this is like the actual court document. And what's funny is there's information in the court document that may differ or not be included in the summary. And I'll give you an example of that here shortly. All right, so on March 13th in 2017, Officer Luis Catalini and Officer Rhodes, they responded to a suspicious vehicle call, and they discovered that a man was sleeping in the vehicle. They looked around the vehicle and they saw a wine bottle and a burnt marijuana blunt. So signs of impairment. When you see those things and you see someone sleeping in a vehicle, it's reasonable, articulable suspicion that the person inside there may be intoxicated. There's already a crime here. So during this year in 2017, you cannot have marijuana. And you still can't have marijuana, at least burnt marijuana, in a vehicle in Ohio. So they have a reason to be there. They have a reason to detain the driver because it's in plain view. They knock on the part about the marijuana and wine in the vehicle is not included in the summary, but is included in that court case that I brought up. So they knock on the driver's window, and in the summary they said they didn't announce themselves. You don't have to announce yourself. You don't even necessarily have to announce yourself into going to someone's house under certain situations. I'm not going to go into those right now. So in this article, at least the summary, the suspect wakes up and drives away. That's not what happened in the court document. What happens is the officers try to detain the subject and get him out of the car, and they're unsuccessful. It becomes like a wrestling match, and what ends up happening is the suspect, who is Mr. Stewart, he ends up driving and striking a police cruiser. One of the officers end up in the vehicle with Mr. Stewart, and he's fighting to get the car stopped. So now you're essentially, I don't know if that would be kidnapping, but you're in a vehicle, you're trying to make an apprehension, and a person who is intoxicated is driving. It's not a good place to be. I would say you need to stop that. So the officer attempts to tase. Officer Rhodes attempts to tase Stewart. Unsurprisingly, the taser doesn't have the exact desired effect. I think it does as work, but it doesn't stop Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart's being not compliant by keeping on driving with an officer in the vehicle. And eventually Officer Rhodes has to use deadly force to prevent Mr. Stewart from driving him further. I agree with this case. Not only did I agree with this case, if you want to go ahead and where it says read case, look through the case, the courts agree with this case. So the fact that this ENDIQI group, which is funded by Campaign Zero, they're trying to change little details and trying to make you believe that officers should not have qualified immunity in this case. And I really can't see why. This is a horrible case to try and make your point that we shouldn't have qualified immunity. All right. In the case, it even defines qualified immunity. All right, qualified immunity is intended to protect public officials from unnecessary interference with their duties while also holding them accountable. Holding them accountable is in the qualified immunity standard. So when they say police have qualified immunity and there's nothing holding them accountable, they're lying to you. It gives government officials breathing room to make reasonable but mistaken judgments about open legal questions. When properly applied, it protects all but the plainly incompetent for those who knowingly violate the law. Public officials are entitled to qualified immunity from suits for civil damages if either the official's conduct did not violate a constitutional right or if their right was not clearly established at the time of the conduct. So as a police officer, I cannot violate constitutional rights. I will get personally sued for that. Like, two things can be true. I can have qualified immunity, and I can also get sued for violating someone's constitutional rights, and rightfully so. So this is what Campaign Zero's website looks like. And I'm just going to share a little of it today. I'm going to be coming back to it on a different show. So I was trying to figure out what they've actually done. Because if you look up here, it's asking that you donate money towards them. So if you're going to donate money, you might want to know what they do. What is it you actually do here? Public safety. Okay, what do you do? Shrink the reliance of police and mass. I don't actually disagree with a lot of these things. I think there's definitely an argument to end mass incarceration. Shrink the reliance of power on police. I depending on how and where you go with that, I could probably agree with you. Public safety beyond policing, it's just basically just to fund the police. Then I definitely don't agree with that. Fundamental fairness, accountability, and transparency. I believe we as law enforcement officers should be transparent as long as it doesn't inflict with an active investigation. So I still can't figure out what they do. So I'm going to go to their news here. Okay, so supporting youth with transformative programming. They visited the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention Center with a week of inspiring workshops led by artists, entrepreneurs, and change makers. That's awesome. Like that, I'm all for that. They storytelling, creativity, and connection. They reminded justice-involved youth. Stop using the word justice involved. Okay, it makes it sound like they're a victim. They're not. They're juvenile delinquents. They broke the law. Stop using the word justice involved. Still trying to figure out what they posted some articles here. Still trying to figure out what they actually do. What good have they done for people? Like I said, give them credit supporting the youth. That's awesome. Support youth. Absolutely. What are they about? Can live in a world beyond. Is that like the new, is the a world beyond policing? Is that the new defund the police slogan? Like they gotta rebrand themselves. I think the organization Black Lives Matter, it was definitely proven they misuse their money. There's some people who got really rich off playing off of people's emotions. All right, so hear me out here. I have a great comparison to how the woke movement around 2015 started and how it ended up in 2025. I think if you understand Star Wars and how Palpatine was able to take the power that he did, it directly correlates to how the woke movement in 2015 got popular, started, and eventually had a downfall. So let's check this out. Phantom Menace is happening, right? Let me set this up. Palpatine, Plagueis, George Soros. Okay. Darth Vader is going to be the personification of wokeness. So we have Phantom Menace. Now, in some Star Wars legends, they believe that Plagueis actually created Anakin with the Force. Not all Star Wars fans believe that, but it's out there. Okay, so George Soros, along with all of his money, starts creating left woke movements around the time of Ferguson. We start seeing groups like the organization Black Lives Matter and all the other leftist groups that are out there. This Campaign Zero was created around then. All these groups. He's starting to sow the seeds of discord. So what happens to Anakin? He gets discovered. He gets brought to the Jedi Council. Just like wokeness went to the government, and just like Anakin, it separated the government. Not even all the Democrats believed in being woke, aka Tulsi Gabbard. All right, so now we got Attack of the Clones. During Attack of the Clones, not a whole lot's going on, but Palpatine is sowing the seeds of evil. He starts to create the separatist group, and they begin to start getting the government and the Republic to separate. Just like around maybe 2016, 2017 we start seeing more and more groups pushing woke agendas. We start seeing more transgender ideas, how you should let kids be transgender. The wokeness goes on and on and on. Next, we have Revenge of the Sith. In Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine unleashes all of the chaos to take as much power as he possibly can. This is exactly what happens in the year 2020. COVID hits, George Floyd hits, all of the chaos happens so that the leftist government can take as much power as they possibly can. We saw it with COVID. We saw it with the leftist movements that rallied around George Floyd. Saw it happen. Then in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, you have the Clone Wars. And at the end of the Clone Wars, you have Palpatine just disregard the separatists, kind of in the same way how the left, once the organization Black Lives Matter was no longer useful to them, they discarded them and they began using migrants to gain power, gain voters. Now we have a new hope. So this would be maybe 2023, 2024-ish. So in Star Wars land, the Empire is in control. Things suck. The power is corrupt, just like here. Inflation, also housing prices. Like, it's so much harder to buy a house during those years. And they're trying to make pedophiles normal. All sorts of crazy stuff's happening. But just like in A New Hope, we had hope. Donald Trump put his name in for the presidency. Bring in our Luke Skywalker. So now we're at Empire Strikes Back. Okay, the leftist strikes back at our new hope, Donald Trump. And how do they do that? It was a clear escalation of force. They did, first of all, smear campaigns, which has been going on forever anyway. Then he had the FBI actually raid his house. After the FBI raids his house, they bring up some crazy charges on him that, please tell me what they were and how they made sense. You probably can't tell me. And then what happens? He gets shot, but he lives. That correlates to the Empire Strikes Back. That brings us into Return of the Jedi. That's right. So here we have the right start pushing back towards the left. I would say the Republicans are not very good at propaganda. And I think this is starting to change. And maybe not so much the original Republicans, but guys who were in the middle that started leaning right, like Theo Vaughn, Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, these guys who were more kind of middle ground guys, especially like Theo Vaughn. The guy's not a Republican. The leftists claim that. I don't think he is. He's a middle ground guy. He's claimed that. The right's starting to win these guys over because the left is refusing to talk. So now we're pushing back towards the left, just like how the rebellion got the Ewoks and others to help their cause to take down the Empire. So what happened on the left directly correlates to what happened between Vader and Darth Sidious. What happened on the left? A coup. That's right. They took Biden out of power, I'm sure against his will, and put Kamala Harrison. What happened in Return of the Jedi? Luke and Darth Vader destroyed Darth Sidious. Now, wokeism is defeated. Some of the lefties, the original lefties, like Tulsi Gabbard, Brett Weinstein, start to turn Republican. Just like some of the Empire started to turn towards the rebellion side. And as far as the next few movies goes, they all suck. Don't watch them. I'm not even going to try and correlate what's going on. Well, maybe correlates like this. This Campaign Zero group kind of sucks. So maybe they're just kind of like the rest of the movies out there. That's my Star Wars rant. I know it's ridiculous. I think it's kind of funny, but it's true because you can understand how you need to set conditions to obtain power. And that's exactly what the left did, but they screwed themselves in the end, just like the Empire did. Unfortunately, we had an officer down on May 5th of this year. Lieutenant Alan Nucci Credior. If I'm saying that wrong, I completely apologize. This one's crazy. Lieutenant Credior was shot by friendly fire serving a search warrant. Friendly fire isn't. It's terrible. He worked for the Rain Police Department for over 20 years, and he is survived by his brother and fiance. Terrible situation. I hope this encourages more more officers to train. I don't necessarily know how that happened. If anyone could comment and maybe share a video if there's one out there or some details. And like all accidents, we need to learn from them so we could save lives in the future. Next, I just want to share with you kind of a crazy video.
You're gonna lose. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do it. Stop. You're gonna.
Shots fired.
270 shots fired. Get down. Stop. 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 Just stop. Get down. Get down on your
He
knees.
slipped so many times.
Stop. Stay down. Stay down.
Stop! Stop! Want to get you help? I'm going taser!
Hey, stop, okay? Come on, walk up with it. Get on your stomach right now. Hey, get on your stomach.
Okay.
Another failed taser deployment.
Stop!
Stomach.
Anybody else got a taser or anything?
Get on your stomach.
Slippery. Stop! Stop!
Watch the glass, watch the glass.
He's got my camera.
Out of the way.
I'm slippery. Anybody got a cuff? Get one cuff here. Stop!
Turn around. Around.
Yeah, I'll get the arm, I'll get the arm.
Look at those pink handcuffs. Could you imagine if you're getting under arrest and someone puts pink handcuffs on you? I mean, how degrading is that? Like, you're already getting arrested. You don't have to insult me. You know? Lastly, I want to bring up something some people need to hear, and that is how to be a new guy on the job. Now, if you're someone new with some military service, or you've lateraled from a previous police department, or you think you've done something related to police work, anything like that at all, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you did before getting hired. No one, not one person. I don't care. And in general, like, I don't care what you've done before. Like, what can you do now? Don't come into a job pretending like you're everyone's best friend being the new guy. Don't do that. No one's gonna like that. You come in, do your job, stay quiet. If you have a question, ask your training officer. And really just don't speak unless you're spoken to, because people are testing you out. They want to see what you're about. They want to see if you're even worth their time. They don't want to emotionally invest into you and what you're doing and how many kids you have and all of that stuff if they don't know if you're going to make it. So sit down, eat your lunch quietly, ask your FTO legitimate questions if you have legitimate questions, and go on from there. And eventually, guys are going to be curious about you. They're going to ask you, well, first they're going to make fun of you a lot, and that's okay. They want to see how well you take it, and just laugh and take it well, and don't say anything stupid back. But eventually, people are going to get tired of doing that, and they're going to be curious about if you're married and if you have kids, what you like doing. So be a good new person. Take my advice. All right, guys, let's plug our sponsor real quick. Sender Brand Supplements. They have great sleep supplements. They have awesome pre-workouts. They have brain health, all sorts of stuff that is going to supplement your health. Go check them out. Senderbrand.com. Lastly, Tuesday show coming up, 8 p.m. I got a buddy coming on. I've known him for a long time. So I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, everyone, stay dangerous.